Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Americas. Coming up, a primetime address from Donald Trump trying to convince the nation to build his border wall, the reason behind a U.S. government shutdown now in its third week. Nicolas Maduro starts a new term in office, but the Venezuelan president is now facing unprecedented pressure both at home and abroad. And gadgets galore on display at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, the most delectable among them coming up. I'm Jeannie Godula. This week, U.S. President Donald Trump used his first ever Oval Office address to push for his long-promised border wall. Speaking from the White House, Trump blamed criminal gangs and, quote, vast quantities of illegal drugs for what he said were thousands of deaths. The president also made a veiled dig at former President Barack Obama and the wall built around his home in Washington.
Some have suggested a barrier is immoral. Then why do wealthy politicians build walls, fences, and gates around their homes? They don't build walls because they hate the people on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside.
Donald Trump's speech was also scant on details on just how to end the U.S. government shutdown that's now in its third week. Democrats criticized the president for fear-mongering and are demanding the government reopen before starting any debate on border security. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told a national audience after Trump's speech that his rhetoric was full of misinformation and even malice. Among the migrants coming into the United States now, 60% of them are families with children. Our Shona Bhattacharya has more on the overcrowded detention centers on the border and the volunteers who are trying to help.
In the hills overlooking Tecate, on the edge of Southern California, stands a lone bottle of water. It was put there by volunteers with Border Angels, one of several organizations helping migrants who cross into the United States.
And we're out leaving winter survival kits as well as water out here for migrants that have been crossing through and refugees that are now crossing through, so they don't freeze to death and so they don't die of dehydration out here while they're crossing into America.
According to the U.S. Border Patrol, migrants coming on foot from Mexico face two major dangers: extreme temperatures and getting lost. But once they're inside the country, they still lack basic necessities. Here in El Paso, Texas, volunteers are organizing to help provide the bare minimum.
Some of these migrants don't come with actually anything except the clothes on their back and the shoes on their feet. Right now, what we're doing is actually taking donations of diapers, socks, shoes.
According to the Department of Homeland Security, 60% of all migrants are children or family units. Sometimes those individuals blend into the woodwork for years. Rosa spent a decade in the United States and had 3 children until a few weeks ago when she was ordered to leave the country.
Things changed under Donald Trump's administration. I received an ankle bracelet, which was very frustrating for me. It hurts my soul. I'm not a criminal.
Rosa decided to take refuge in this church near her home outside Washington, D.C., where the congregation welcomed her with open arms. Her children come visit once a week. Like Rosa, dozens of migrants have taken shelter in houses of worship to escape the clutches of immigration services.
Despite the government shutdown, the new U.S. Congress has also been taking shape this week. The House of Representatives class is diverse, and it means business. While Republicans still have control in the Senate, Democrats have emphatically taken over in the House, with Nancy Pelosi once again its speaker. She's leading a whole new generation of Democrats who are slowly finding their way. Washington correspondent Philip Crowther met the new freshman class on Capitol Hill.
Thank you so much.
You want Zoe in the picture?
Yes, absolutely.
Susan Wild from Pennsylvania is one of the 64 newly elected Democratic members of Congress.
My pleasure. So we have...
She is part of the so-called Blue Wave. She's new to these hallways. Susan Wild is one of 36 newly elected women in the House of Representatives. In the same office building is Katie Hill.
Good job.
One of the rising stars of the Democratic Party. She is 31, one of the youngest representatives on the Hill. Trump got her into politics, and hers was a major upset in California.
I bought too many.
Our class, the freshman class, so many of us were never planning on becoming politicians, but we felt the need to run because of him and because of truly believing that this is not what our country should be and that we deserve better representation across the board.
She, Susan Wild, and the new majority had to hit the ground running. Theirs is now a fight with Donald Trump over his proposed border wall.
Well, I was hopeful that we weren't going to have a big fight to start. Unfortunately, we've been faced with this immediate prospect of, well, what we are in the middle of right now, a government shutdown over President Trump's vanity project, as I call it.
The new Democratic majority says it is united, no longer the underdog in Washington.
A new term is starting this week as well for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. His re-election last year sparked controversy after the opposition boycotted the vote, and Western countries condemned it as being neither free nor fair. Maduro is now facing unprecedented pressure at both home and abroad as hundreds of Venezuelans continue to flee the country every day. Clement Bonnereau explains.
It was a sweeping victory. Despite a historically low turnout, Nicolas Maduro was elected to a second term as president in May, after winning nearly 68% of the vote.
Before the motherland and before God, I swear to respect and enforce our Bolivarian constitution.
Venezuela's opposition, which had boycotted the election, soon rejected the result, while Western powers denounced what they said was widespread fraud and vote rigging. But that didn't stop Maduro from celebrating. 8 months on, and as Maduro officially begins his second six-year term, his supporters remain deeply committed, some even vowing to take up arms to defend their leader.
To victory always, Presidente. It's the nation or death. We shall triumph.
There are real revolutionary fighters here, with military training and real weapons. We're not afraid. Now is not the time to waver.
Maduro may have die-hard fans, he also has scores of enemies, both at home and abroad. His opponents blame him for the ongoing economic crisis in Venezuela, the worst in the nation's history. Hyperinflation, power cuts and food and medicine shortages have driven some 3 million people out of the country, around 10% of the population.
There is simply no president. No one is going to recognize him as legitimate. The worst thing is that as we enter an unprecedented political crisis, the economy is in free fall. It keeps getting worse every day.
Neighbouring countries, meanwhile, have turned their backs on what they see as an illegitimate dictatorship.
We call on Nicolas Maduro not to take office and to transfer executive power until new democratic elections are held.
Foreign pressure has so far failed to dislodge the president. However, with more sanctions to come from the US and the EU, and a worsening crisis at home, Maduro faces an uncertain future.
We'll go now to Las Vegas and the newest technology being showcased at the Consumer Electronics Show. This year, the latest innovations aren't just in self-driving cars or foldable screens. Technology is moving more into what we're eating. Correspondent Naibe Reynoso found out more.
Here at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, it's not just about the latest robots or self-driving cars. The food and beverage industry is also taking center stage, like these burgers behind me that look like meat and taste like meat, but there is actually no animals harmed in the making of them. But how do they taste? Well, let's go check them out.
I think it's inevitable that plants will replace animals. Animals in the food system have just been incredibly destructive, in particular cows. So we are high-tech, and we are doing something really that's making an impact on people's lives.
French innovation always has a huge presence here, and if you're going to talk about France, you're going to have to talk about wine. And there's a new invention that's going to revolutionize the way it's served. But of course, always in moderation.
Un verre de vin rouge. In this machine, you have 15 liters of wine, 3 different kinds of wine. You can serve at the right temperature. So it's good for the waiters. You save money. You don't wasting time.
And there's a lot more than just food and beverage innovations. There's also new technology that helps you understand what's happening to your body after you eat. Let's go take a look. This tiny device is going to help me figure out if I'm properly digesting my food. How does it work?
Yeah, so basically you're going to breathe into it. You'll first hold your breath for 3 seconds, gently exhale into it for 5 seconds, and it'll identify how well your body's digesting the food that you've recently eaten.
Let's give it a go.
Okay, so I'm going to start it on the app, and off you go. Great. So you're getting quite low fermentation scores, so that's showing that your body is digesting the food that you've eaten pretty well.
As you can see, technology is seeping into every aspect of our lives. And after a good meal, what better way to end the day than with a good nap?
And finally, the movie awards season got underway in Hollywood this week with the Golden Globes. And while Queen biopic Bohemian Rhapsody went home with the top awards, it was a little-known American brunette who stole the spotlight on the red carpet. Her name is Kelleth Cuthbert, but she's become better known as the Fiji Water Girl. The model and commercial actress became the talk of the town after she appeared in the background of one celebrity photo after another. Twitter, as you can imagine, had a field day. Cuthbert says she wasn't trying to steal the spotlight. It's just that her modeling instincts took over and got her gazing into the cameras. She says she's just a girl who wants to help the world stay hydrated, one photobomb at a time. We'll leave you with that. Thanks so much for watching this Inside the Americas. See you again next week for all the news from north to south.